rescinded to make him available. Anthony Edwards, how he got here is he dropped 43 points against the Jazz, which locked up Minnesota as the 6th seed after the Warriors lost to the Grizzlies in overtime. LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, they didn't play in the final game with a variety of soreness, strains, sprains, but you don't have to worry about them in the first round probably against the Timberwolves. You would have to imagine that that's a little bit more rest and having locked up the 3 seed than anything else here. So the Lakers, they are the favorites in this series, but this is a series, Brian, where the stars are absolutely going to be out. Who do you think is going to have to show up in order to take their team over the top?
We saw Luka and what he did against the Timberwolves last year in the Western Conference Finals when he was a member of the Dallas Mavericks. He was dominant in that series, particularly Malika in the games in Minneapolis. He just dropped the dagger into those fans there. They tried a couple of different strategies against him. When Rudy Gobert was put out him on the switches, he just feasted on them. So we'll see if they change up their strategy facing him with a different Lakers team. But I'm going to be honest with you. I am very interested in just watching Ant Edwards try to carry his team from being the underdog here. Last year, and I know it was not against the Lakers, I know that it was against the Mavericks, it was different. Ant had exhausted himself in that second round series against Denver. When they got to the series against Luka, and it was supposed to be mano a mano, potentially we thought it was going to be the next MVP of the league. He wasn't able to match with him. He wasn't able to go toe-to-toe. That will not be the case this time. They're both going to have the week off. I want to see Ant Edwards. I think the Lakers are favored too. I agree with that, with the bookmakers on that. I want to see Ant Edwards try to be the best player in this series.
You can't guard him the way you did last year. He led the league in threes this year, so he's not a one-trick pony just getting to the basket. He's an offensive guy that can get to it from all 3 levels. But what I will say about this, he has to be extremely explosive. We're talking about 35 to 40 points a game just for those guys to be in competition here. And he can do it. And he loves playing against the guys he used to watch and play video games. We saw what he did against KD last year. We're going to see how he goes against Bron.
On the surface, though, Ant gets double-teamed a lot. I'm very curious how JJ starts to scheme for Anthony Edwards because I think it's actually going to require a huge series out of Julius Randle.
Well, I'm never going to try to go head-to-head on X's and O's, but what I suspect the Lakers will look at, put LeBron on one of the weaker offensive players that the Wolves put out there, whether it's Rudy Gobert or whether it's Jaden McDaniels, so you can let shoot the threes and let him roam. Whether that's to be a double teamer or whether that's to do what he does so well, which is play help defense, that potentially could be a comfortable option for the Lakers who are trying to save LeBron's energy.
I mean, what can we expect out of LeBron James here? You know him as well, if not better than anyone.
It's on. This is it. You got Luka. You got the pieces you want. You didn't have a center. You got the coach you want. You got all the things that you want right now. This is going to be the best version of LeBron James. He came into the second half of the season. He was rolling. Took a couple of days off because he was hurt. But the best version of LeBron James is coming right now. He understands what the expectations are when you bring a guy like Luka Doncic into your team, and he's wearing that Laker jersey.
Is it as wild to you as it is to me, Brian Windhorst, that this is the first time as a member of the Los Angeles Lakers that he's secured home court advantage?
He's never played a game 1 at Crypto.
Wow.
Which is amazing. And obviously the Lakers were one of the best home teams, I think the best home team in the West outside the Thunder. So that's not just a nice factoid, that's a significant factor.
But I will say this. Let's not forget about Naz Reid. Let's not forget, because they're going to switch those matchups. The Lakers are going to switch everything. Naz Reid is a guy who can exploit those switches. You can't just switch anybody on the Naz Reid and think that you're going to have a stop. Naz Reid is a guy who can exploit those switches. So if Naz Reid can get it going, give him a little bit of help, and the others just fill in the blanks, you have a chance to make this a 7-game series.
This is a prime-time matchup. We're going to get to see it Saturday night on ABC. But before all of that, we got a play-in to get through tonight. In the NBA, it's decision time for several franchises. For the latest, Shams is here with some updates. So let's start with the 76ers. They missed the postseason. Shams, how is this franchise moving forward?
Malika, Daryl Morey said on Sunday that him and Nick Nurse will be back as general manager and head coach of this team. But the health of the big three, Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, that is the biggest question going into this offseason. There was tension at times between the front office and Joel Embiid as far as playing or getting surgery. He got surgery. Now it's about his health moving forward.
Okay, so standing pat in terms of coaching and front office here. Over in New Orleans, though, a different decision was made today, Shams.
David Griffin has been fired after being the executive vice president of basketball operations for the last 6 years. Sources tell me today that Joe Dumars, the former 2004 Pistons championship executive, is the leader to become the next head of basketball operations for the Pelicans. He's a Hall of Famer with the Pistons previously. also a Louisiana native.
And then the Phoenix Suns, as you reported this morning, Shams, they've dismissed head coach Mike Budenholzer. This marks 7 head coaches in 10 years that Devin Booker has been the franchise cornerstone for Phoenix. The Suns, they had the highest payroll in the league this year, and they fell short of even making the play-in here. And I think the statement that the Suns released, the shortness of it sort of says it all. This is their statement. Quote, competing at the highest level remains our goal, and we failed to meet expectations this season. Our fans deserve better. Change is needed. Usually when you hear a statement from teams, there's a little bit more there, a thank you to the coach, et cetera. So I think this is indicative of how the Suns are feeling right now. Where do the Suns go from here, Shams?
From a grand perspective, it's about Devin Booker and where does he stand in all this. And I think that is very important, Malika. And from my understanding is he remains the foundation of everything they're doing in Phoenix. Everything else, though, has been up for discussion with the Suns except for Devin Booker. And we saw they went from 49 wins, the 6th seed, the number 13th ranked defense last season, to this year. They were the 3rd worst defensive team in the NBA. Mike Budenholzer clearly had a disconnect with his entire roster. And for the team with the highest payroll in the NBA, it's clear the ownership there, Matt Ishbia, he's put all his resources, all his money into this group. But now moving forward, they have major decisions to make. This is just the start of what's going to be multiple major changes in Phoenix from a roster perspective. That is going to start with Kevin Durant. I'm told the Suns and Durant, as well as his business partner, Rich Kleiman, will be working together on his next trade home. But a lot of that will determine by the playoffs which team feels like they're a Kevin Durant away from winning a championship. We'll know within the next couple months.
One more other thing on the Suns. Their general manager since 2017, James Jones, is under contract until June 30th and no further. He could remain with the organization, but it is not clear that that is going to happen. So there is uncertainty with that as well. And so I know people want to know, where's Durant going to get traded? Everything going to happen? Let Shams work. We're not going to know immediately, but it's going to probably present itself over the next, 4 to 8 weeks.
Like that song my mother used to play on the weekends by Aretha Franklin. Ain't no way. Ain't no way this is the only change. This is just the beginning. There's going to be a lot more changes. You cannot tell me, regardless of who you trade, that was the right roster.
A woman's back on.
There's going to be a lot more changes. You cannot tell me, regardless of who you trade, that was the right roster. That was not the right roster. They need to put the right pieces around D-Book. They have the talent.
And unfortunately, Kevin Durant is their most valuable trade asset at this point when you look at the fact that Bradley Beal has that no trade clause. We're going to be talking about this a lot as the playoffs continue to unfold. As Sean said, which team is just one Kevin?
I'm going to give her a statement. If she agrees, it's Cheye. If she disagrees, it is Chiney. So the first statement, Chiney, is the Celtics and the Cavs are destined to meet in the East Finals. Cheye or Chiney?
It is going to be a Cheye, yes, because these are 2 of the 3 best teams in basketball. The Celtics set more records for made threes, the most threes ever, 1,457 made threes. They have multitude of winning lineups.